today we have our normal stock market update, so we'll start with that and then we'll go into a little bit of discussion about my game. If you are watching and you have any questions you want me to answer about my game, then you can go ahead and post those in the chat while I'm talking about the stock market, and then I will get to that when I get to the section where I'm talking about my game. So, as tradition with the start of all stock market videos, I'm going to ask you to go up in the top right corner and click the eye icon where you can actually go vote for next week's fluctuation. So you'll be able to pick one of the 5 stock to support, and your support will go towards moving the stock upwards as opposed to downwards. So we will go right into the stock market update. So I have the stock market up on the screen. You should be able to see last week's totals for assets, and we are going to go add the new values in. Now, I think that I fixed the macro, so hopefully that's sorted out. But we'll start over here with red. So red, continuing its tradition, received a 0% of the votes. Yellow, with a surprise, received a 66% of the votes. Green received a 0% of the votes. Blue received a 33% of the votes, and 12 received a 0% of the votes. Now, it was an interesting week because I did have a problem with some previous votes leaking into this week, and I had to restart the poll. So I don't think this was necessarily to the advantage of anyone, but I put a message out there for people to go recast their votes, and I think there were about the same amount of votes cast afterwards as before, minus the ones that leaked through. So we should be pretty good with that, but this is actually how it turned out. So it's an interesting turn of events, and we'll see how it affects the market as a whole. So we're going to get the market factor, and we will see what happens with that. The market factor is 19, so this is a pretty average day in the market. That's not where I want to put that. All right, we want to go up here, 19, and you can see now that red is at 26. This is extremely low, and we could see some crazy things happening with that in the near future. Now, it may be necessary for some celebrity support in order to boost the market back into a reasonable position, but we'll see how that goes. So if I click this new market button, it does work, and I should be able to zero this out, and we can now see that all of these values are updated. Now, one thing that I realized, I don't know why I haven't been doing this the whole time, is I can just copy and paste these guys right here. So let's paste that by number, and that should have updated. So I think it did. You can see that 12 has gone down for the first time, as well as green has gone down. Blue has gone up a little bit, and I think that is how it's supposed to be. Yes, I believe it is. So you can see that there's some trading off here. Yellow has received a large investment. Now, I'm curious, I don't remember if anyone actually invested in yellow. So that could be interesting to see. I know that even Steven will probably benefit a little bit from this week. So that should be interesting to see. So let's go check out the contestants page. So if we look at the scoreboard, Mr. Positive did actually invest in yellow. So he should be getting a benefit from that. But he also is invested in red. Red took a hit. And he is invested in 12 heavily. And 12 also took a hit. But I do believe he actually received a increase in value, if I'm remembering the values correctly. I may be wrong about that. We'll see. So it is obvious that there is some reshuffling with the numbers here. So we need to resort these. And so if I sort this from largest to smallest, I have actually jumped up into second. Dan is holding on to first with his large investment in 12, which having been the highest valued stock, it has been relatively robust from the recent hit. OC has now dropped down below Khalil, but not by much, and everybody's kind of sticking around the original values. So that's somewhat pushes me to believe that maybe I should put a little bit of investment in red, just because it's so low. And so I'm trying to think if that's what I want to do. Perhaps I could sell out of green. Let's see. So the stock for green is 90. If I sold out of green and bought into red, then that would allow me to have I would be increasing the amount of stock that I have by about 4. Not exactly. It would be about 3.7 maybe, but with the potential that red has being so low, I think that is the way to go. So I would throw my suggestion out to anyone that's in the stock market competition out there that maybe red is a good pick this week. But I think that's what I'm going to do. So green is going for 90 right now, so we will take our 175 and we will sell that for 90 each, giving us 15,750 to work with, plus our leftover 68, so we'll throw that on there. And now we have 15,818. So red is now going for a value of 26, so I'll divide that by 26. That gives me 608 red stock. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go zero this guy out. We're going to put 608. And then we should have a little bit left over. So you can see this is not the same value that I had previously. What I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 608 from this large decimal number, minus 608, and then simply multiply that by 26, and that gives us a value of 10. So 10 is the leftovers that I have, and that should be back to where I was, which I believe is correct. And then if it isn't what I originally had it as, please let me know. So that obviously shows where my allegiances lie. I still have a strong allegiance in blue, but I kind of trust blue to stand alone, so I will probably be casting my vote for red this week. But that's your decision what you want to do. So we will update the contestant trends. So I can't necessarily copy and paste these because these are vertical and those are horizontal. I don't think that works. But I should be able to get these over pretty easily. So 104,000, 100,742. So Dan is 104,000, and I am 100,742. So if we keep going down the list, then Khalil has 99,750, and OC has 97,000. So Khalil has 99,750 and OC has 97,000. And finally, our lower two scores, Mr. Positive has 92,700 and Even Steven has 85,400. Now, I will point out, I did actually have Mr. Positive's name spelt incorrectly. I think I just jumped from this I to this I and merged the two together, so there was a T and an I missing. But I have remedied that situation. It's actually been fine on the contestants page. But all right, so 92,700, 85,400. So 92,700, 85,400. I believe that's correct. So if I go back, yes. So now you can see that Even Steven did get a slight increase, and Mr. Positive actually did take a loss on this week, which I was incorrect about earlier. But now we can go, I did not want to do that. Now we can go check out the trends. So I think I had this at 100%. There we go. So it's almost like everybody kind of split out, and now we're just all converging back onto 1 point. This will be interesting when we get a little bit more people in the competition, and of course, as things get crazier throughout the rest of the season, we will be able to see a little bit more fluctuation. But you can see that Dan is keeping his top position, but the variability of the entire field has significantly decreased over the past 2 weeks, or I guess the past week itself, which is interesting because the first 2 weeks we had a decrease in the total market value, and this is the first increase in the total market value, and a lot of people have taken a hit from it because of the way the votes were spread out. So if you are in support of any of these individuals who have taken a significant hit this week, then please cast your votes accordingly. If you're not in support of anyone, you just like participating in the voting system, then vote however you wish. And I guess that's going to be it for the stock market. So I'll give you one last look at the current standings. Well, this gives you a pretty good picture, but we'll go back to the current standings. So this is where everything stands. I will say one final time, if you have not voted already, please go up in the top right corner of the screen, click the little eye icon, and vote in the poll. It's pretty easy, and it just helps out with this little competition. So I'm going to save this off, and we'll just chat about the game a bit. So I don't see any questions in the chat, but I'm going to switch this back over to the big screen. I've been working a lot on my game. I'm actually going to be calling this new update 1.1.0 as opposed to 1.0.5. This is because I feel like this is a very significant update. Now, there may not be too much story being added. I'm hoping to add a little bit more story before I actually post it online. But the cool thing about it is that pretty much all of the actual interface will be completed. So I'm considering that a relatively strong milestone, because that will mean that it will be pretty smooth sailing in implementing new content from this point out. Now there's going to be a couple things that will still require some hard wiring with the coding. That would be something like the Romance Everything update that I had spoken of. That would require a little bit of tweaking in the actual data structures, but that's not too big of a deal. But after I have implemented stats and achievements, all I will have to do is record individual achievements and statistic adjustments as I implement new quests and new activities that you can do. So I did mention, I believe, that the statistics will not be visible until you earn 1 level. So for that reason, I'm not going to show you any of the actual statistics right now. I want that to be explored as people check out the game. But I'm sure over time I'll just end up showing you guys anyways. But what's cool about it is that you don't necessarily know how many statistics there are that you can level up. So you could be playing the game for a while and then out of nowhere gain a level in a new statistic. And I think that's an interesting concept, because then it doesn't really, like, you don't really know where you're going to go at the start of the game. You kind of have to just go out and explore, and then how you situationally achieve something kind of gives you maybe inspiration to go in a different direction. So I like that idea. It's the same with the achievements, but that's not necessarily a new concept for achievements. Achievements usually don't tell you what you have to do to get them. They do in some cases, but I don't know. I'm kind of getting some inspiration from the old RuneScape days. I just like the idea of that stats page. It was just so satisfying to see all those numbers go up at a different time. Now, this page is not set up in the exact same way. It should be more of a list, so you can see more in-depth detail of the actual statistics. So the statistics are going to have a little symbol that represents whatever statistic. If it were health, which I've already mentioned before, There's a little heart icon, and then it tells you what your current level is. Now, I think the character is going to start with 10 health. That seems pretty baseline. I don't necessarily know how good that's going to be, but we'll see. And the idea is that every level from then on will give you 1 extra health. I think that's the same as RuneScape. I'm not completely sure. But I just like that concept because it just to start with only 1 health would be way too difficult if I wanted to add anything where you're actually fighting something. Then, or if something were to like attack you when you walk in the forest and you only have 1 health, you don't really have any time to react. You may be, I think that you should be punished for the element of surprise from the AI, but I also think that the AI shouldn't be able to just one-tap you without you even knowing that it was there in the first place. So I've thought about some interesting ways to implement the actual like fighting sequences. I think it would be cool if the fighting sequence kind of trapped you in the area until you finished attacking, or if there, I don't know. I was trying to think of different ways to kind of implement it so it wasn't just the normal everyday thing, but at the same time, if something can chase you for a long distance, that's also pretty fun. So I'm tossing around ideas right now, but for right now, I am working on the statistics, and then I will start getting a lot more content into the game, including cities. I think I'm going to be adding a little fishing village down in the southeast. That is an homage to my original version of this game that I was working on way back when. So I'm just kind of following that until I run out of run out of original content from there, and then along the way I'm adding in new content, and once the original game's content runs out, I will be completely freeballing it, I guess. So that's pretty much all I want to talk about today. I don't want this to drag on too long, but I will say, I know I said it was the last time, but please go up in the corner and vote. It's pretty easy. And that is going to be all. So I am probably going to be streaming on Saturday. I want to see if I can get Megan to stream a tax episode with me. I know I've been talking about trying to get that organized, but she has something Sunday nights, so maybe we can get one around lunchtime. So you have that to look forward to, but until then, I'm going to be saying goodbye, so I will see you on Saturday.